everybody, we are back recording videos. Happy Tuesday, everyone. I just had lunch. I went and sat out in the sun. I'm taking a few days off this week, so we're gonna, try to catch up on everything that I missed. But guys, let's go. We got news for LR, Ribrianne, Kakunsa, and Rosie. Here we go. You guys are excited. I'm getting to this a little late. I got home really late last night. Deadline day, all that. We were out, having a good time. Got home late, went to bed, woke up to LR Ribrianne. I mean, this was kind of expected. As soon as we saw what the celebration was, I had a feeling that this was going to be the Part 2 LR. But, now that they're in game, we got to see how good they are, right? We got to do some defense calcs, look at their passive. The good stuff, right? Right, they're good, right, guys? Surely they would make a unit like LR Ribrianne, not a very hype character. Surely they would make her, like, really busted, like Bulma, Yamcha, Captain Ginyu, Videl, that's like where Ribrianne falls, so surely she's, spectacular. Let's find out. All right, so here's the passive. Most of you have probably already read this at this point, but we're going to read it before we hop into Calcs here. Oop, spoilers. I did already post those on Twitter, so if you follow me on Twitter, you can see those a little bit early. So, Hellar, Ribrianne, Kakunsa, and Rosie. Great love that saves the universe. Their leader skill doesn't matter at all. They do have an entrance animation, okay? Their super attack effect, the 12 key, the Lovely Carnival raises attack and defense. That is a 30% raise for one turn, causes colossal damage to the enemy. The 18 key, the Lovely Fantasia, greatly raises attack and defense for one turn. That is a 50% raise and causes mega colossal damage to the enemy. Extra large love delivered straight into you. What? The passive skill, Mission to Deliver Love. Activates entrance animation upon entry once only if there are 2 or more tournament participants category allies on the team other than this character. That means you need a total of 3. If you're running them on the Tournament of Power 17 and 18 team, then just, like, that'll be enough, right? Because the leader and the friend unit will count. So, that'll be enough to trigger their passive. Unfortunately, they didn't really make that 17 and 18 super crazy, but, I mean, we'll see. Other than this character, changes STR, AGL, and physical key spheres to tech for one turn. Obviously, that's pretty good. That's, everything except for STR. Or, I'm sorry, no, that's everything except for int. So you will, like, on their first appearance, you will only have int and tech key spheres on the field. That's interesting. So, this would lead me to believe that they're a nuker. Well, actually, well, I mean, still, it would lead me to believe that they're a nuker, but, I mean, they're not, spoiler alert, but, they're not a nuker. But I guess since they're not changing int key spheres, theoretically, it could leave you some for the 17 and 18. I don't know. I'm interested to see how this is going to gel with the 17 and 18, since they have the rainbow orb changing. And, they... we'll see how that gels. Gain key 3 for 3 turns. Okay. I mean, that's useful. That's probably the most useful thing from this, from their intro is just getting 3 key for 3 turns. Baseline, they get 3 key, 122% attack and defense at the start of turn. Okay. They're going to change STR key spheres to tech, always. They have a medium chance to change AGL key spheres to tech. Okay, sure. Is orb changing that powerful that they only need a medium chance to double orb change? And then a medium chance to change physical key spheres to tech. Okay, so double medium chances to triple orb change. Very interesting. Perform an additional attack that's a high chance to become a super attack if HP is 66% or above when attacking. Why? Can't this just be guaranteed? Like, are they so powerful that this just can't be guaranteed? I mean, I don't know. You guys tell me. Perform an additional attack that's a great chance, 70% chance to be a super attack if there's another Universal Survival Saga category ally attacking in the same turn. Again, like, why are we double restricting this additional? Like, we already have to have them on the turn. Like, it should just be guaranteed. Both of these should be guaranteed. If you're above 66% HP, you should be getting a guaranteed additional. If you're if you have the Universal Survival Saga category ally in the same turn, you should just get the guaranteed additional. I don't know if you guys have used the 17 and 18 team because, most people I feel like who watch my videos are global players who maybe just keep up with the JP info. I don't play it myself, but, I make sure to stay up to date on these things, watch a lot of showcases from a lot of different people, all that sort of stuff. 17 and 18 and their team, not very good. So, not sure why we needed to restrict this very much. Now, it's probably going to get better for the 9th anniversary. It's probably going to be tournament of power themed. But, like, man, what's going on here? And then where were we? Okay, right here. Gain an additional 2 key when attacking. Sure, I guess. Gain an additional 122% attack and defense and 22% damage reduction when collecting 2 or more type key spheres. Oh, I'm sorry. Gain an additional 2 key and when attacking. So this is an on super attack buff right here. So they're just like 17 and 18 in that they don't get this 22% damage reduction until they super attack for some reason. You guys see what typing they are? Do you guys see any issues with them, being tech? Can you guys think of any reason that might not be advantageous? Any reason at all? Can anybody? Okay. Chance to perform a critical hit plus 22% for every 2 type key spheres obtained. Or I guess for every 2 key spheres. So you just need 6 key spheres, I guess, and they get a 66% chance to crit. Okay. Giant Transformation, they have an active skill, can be used when there's another Power of Wishes category ally attacking the same turn, and HP is 66% or below, so, that's fine. Or once 6 turns have elapsed from the start of battle. Overall, this isn't really a terrible condition. The first part is kind of rough, like having an ally and an HP restriction is a little, but luckily, it's guaranteed on turn 6. Unfortunately, turn 6, not super common in a lot of these new fights, but I mean, again, they are tech, so it's not like you're going to be doing a ton of damage to these bosses, but, we'll see. Links are more than meets the eye. Metamorphosis, Battlefield Diva, Signature Pose, Tournament Power, Fierce Battle, Legendary Power. Yeah. Do you guys think that, that's a good link set? That's, it's not a good link set. Tournament of Power is fine. But more than meets the eye, like, do we really need to give them that? Metamorphosis. I mean, this would be good if we had, like, any other Universe 2 girl that was, like, relevant. Like, if we had, like, another really good Kakunsa, Ribrianne, Rosie. Like, hear me out. You remember whenever they dropped LR, Kale, and Caulifla? Long time ago. Long time ago. You guys may not have been around. Do you know who dropped with LR, Kale, and Caulifla? So I'm on DBZ, or I'm sorry, I'm on Dokkan info here. And I have it sort by, release date, including EZAs. And so this is back many moons ago. You can see, here's LR Caulifla's release right here. Like, this is when they released, right? Look who they released with. 2 really powerful banner units, right? Like, that's what happened. They got, like, we released an LR Kale and Caulifla, and then we got Caulifla and Kale, and these guys are pretty good on release. For the Legendary Goku event, they were, like, defensive stacking and doing multiple additionals, and she had, like, a 100% chance to dodge. Like, these guys are really good, and they paired really well with her, and they, like, they activated each other's links, all that good stuff. Why didn't we do that for Ribrianne? Why don't we do this anymore? Like, where we drop, like, a new LR, and we give them, like, 2 banner units? Why did we stop this? Like, what were they, like, why, like... Why, like, if they dropped with, like, a Ribrianne and Kakunsa that, they would be getting all of these links with and, like, maybe supporting them or just doing things that were, like, really valuable, I'd be like, all right. But, More Than Meets the Eye is basically dead. Metamorphosis is dead. Battlefield Diva, you could probably get that with, like, an Android 18 or something, maybe. Signature Pose is, like, dead. Tournament of Power is fine. Fierce Battle, Legendary Power, those are fine. Like, these 3 are okay. And luckily, they do get defense from Tournament of Power, but... Metamorphosis is 10% defense and, like, 5% HP regen, and then also, like, attack, but, I mean, who cares about attack? And then More Than Meets the Eye is, like, 10% attack and defense or something, so that's, like, 20% defense that you're just leaving on the table for links. That's not good. right? Like we really want to run them with like an LR, or like not an LR, but like another Cocoon, so Rosie and Ribrianne. But we don't have one, so I don't like. You're not gonna run them with the free to play units from 1954. You're not doing that. All right. The giant form down here. Super attack is the 12 key, Fist of Love, destructive damage. Doesn't, just whatever. The 18 key is the great, I'm sorry, the 18 key is Shining Love. It greatly raises attack temporarily. Her passive in giant form is she gets 2 key per key sphere obtained. Changes STR key spheres to STR, or changes STR key spheres to tech key spheres, and randomly changes another type of key sphere other than STR and tech to rainbow. So I don't think like it's going to be an issue getting the 18 key super attack off, and like this giant form could be valuable, but yeah. So anyway, let's get over into calcs. Let's talk about this. Okay. So here we go. These are the calcs that we're going to be looking at. So yeah, I put mid Brienne because I mean right here. Let's just get it out of the way, guys. This line right here. This is going to be the start of turn defense that we see. Like right there, you can see the two lines 404 and 415. That's going to be their start of turn defense. Let me know if you guys think that, 208k defense at the start of turn for a tech unit is good in the current meta. Go ahead. Let me know. Let me know if that's good. For a tech unit, current meta, super class tech unit, let me know if 208k defense is pretty good. So we got a couple different scenarios here. We got, these nice 4 squares for us. Let's go ahead and talk about the differences in each of them before we get into the actual calcs. So this first one right here, I'm going to call this like the vanilla Ribrianne. So this is going to be with no support. The only links we have active are Tournament of Power. That's really all we got going for us. So this is going to be basically like vanilla Ribrianne, right? So we're going to call that. Over here, this next square, this is going to be vanilla Ribrianne with the 17 and 18 support. We're only going to do one instance of the super attack support, just because I feel like the way you want to run the 17 and 18 team, maybe, like in theory, is you put like a UI Goku in slot 1, they dodge everything in theory, and then you have 17 and 18 in slot 2, you get an instance of that, and then you have the other 17 and 18 just floating, so occasionally you'll be able to get 2 instances of this up, but I just figured let's be conservative a little bit and just do 1 instance of the 35% extra support, so that's what's going on with this calc. I also highlighted the cells here that are going to be different. I guess I could highlight these two as well, because that's what's going to be different down here. Oof, that's a little bright. Hang on. Let's do, we'll just do the yellow, or that's fine. Orange is fine. Okay, so, down here, this is vanilla Ribrianne again. The only thing that changed is now all links are active. So that's More Than Meets the Eye, Metamorphosis, and Tournament of Power for a total of 27%. Up here, we were just doing Tournament of Power. I figured if you're going to be using Ribrianne, it's going to be around some other Tournament of Power unit, so I figure you could at least always have that one active. But these, I figured these are going to be a bit more rare to be active, considering her best linking partners are not good. If we type in, like, Ribrianne here. Oh, goodness. No, show up, please. All right, here we go. We pull up like STR Ribrianne here, and like they have a very similar link set right here. By the way, Battlefield Diva, Metamorphosis, Signature Pose, More Than Meets the Eye, Tournament of Power, except for they have Fierce Battle and Legendary Power, right, instead of like these two. But like overall, like this is the essential same link set. And you look at their best linking partners, and it's all just them and these bums. These guys suck. We're not talking about them. But yeah, you can see, like, getting the links active here is going to be a little tough. So that's why it's like, I figure this is probably the more realistic scenario. But you guys are probably going to be You guys are probably going to see showcases where they attempt to juice Ribrianne by getting all the links active. So, I mean, I don't know. You guys, I don't know. That's why I make the calcs, right? You guys can kind of just discern what you want to look at and find averages. So, anyway, let's, oh, and then over here is, again, all links active, and then they also have the 17 and 18 support. And we're also assuming the full 17 and 18 the full 17 and 18 53% support for defense. They have a baseline 35%, then they give 18% more if you get 7 key spheres. I figure you should be able to get that with them. I don't know, but you guys can kind of see. So like down here, you know, we kind of have like the vanilla, and then woo. Oh goodness. We're just flying all over the place at the moment. There we go. Um, yeah. And then over here is kind of like the juicer setup. So anyway, let's talk about it. So their defense, if we go ahead and go back to Garesh's tweet, we can see that they are a tech unit again, and this is them at 0%. For some reason, Dokkan tweets them out at 0%, so we can see that they're at 12,525. Tech units get 5,000 defense from their hidden potential system, so that's where that 5,000 is coming from. It's 12,525 plus 5,000. At 55%, you get 2,000 to stats, so that's where that's coming from right there. We'll just go down the rainbow side. Again, we have the rainbow column here. We have the 55% column here. I don't do calcs for every single dupe level. Just take the average, you know, figure it out. Or, you know, plug in the defense yourself and then try to calculate it out yourself. Leader skill here. So they do have a 200% leader. It's the 17 and 18. I don't know if they have another one, but they definitely have that one. So multiply by 5 for that. Leader skill buffs, it's a 200% buff, and you have 2 of them, so that's a total of a 400% buff. So you increase this by 400%, and then you add in the original value. That's why it's 500%, right? Because if we just did 100% of this, right, it would just be 17,525 again. If we just did 400%, then it would only be the increase. It would be like the 70,000 number. It would be like 70,100. So you do 500% to do essentially the 100% plus the 400%. For the total of, 87,625. Link's Tournament of Power gives 7% defense, so then we multiply by 1.07. Again, this kind of like better illustrates what I was saying. We do the 100% to include this original 87,625, and then the 7, like the 0.07, that's, 0.07 is the same thing as 7%, so that's included for the actual stat increase. So if we just did 7% of this, it would be like the 6,000 number or whatever it is. It's like 6,134 or something. Obviously, your defense doesn't go down whenever you get links active. It goes up. So we have to include the 1 to keep the original value in. Just assume that for everything else going forward. If you're wondering why everything seems like it's 1 higher than what you would expect it to be, it's because it's to include the previous value. So, most of you probably know that, but I assume that, like, people looking at my calcs have only taken, like, I don't know, 3rd grade math or something. So that's like they're just now learning what multiplication is or something. So we maybe I'm talking about it at a bit of a basic level, but the people who like know how to do math, you guys are looking at this and you've already figured out whether or not they're good or not, right? So right here, they get 122% defense at the start of turn. Again, we can see that right over here, 122% right there. So that's where that's coming from. And again, 2.22 because it's 1.22 plus 1. You multiply this number by 2.22, you get 208k defense at the start of turn. Obviously, that is not super fantastic, right? And then over here, again, they get 122% defense on their super attack effect, or I'm sorry, on their super attack in their passive. So that's another multiplicative buff right there. So then you just multiply the, right here, A404 times 2.22 and get you 462k. But then also, she gets the 50% super attack effect on her 18 key, and then she gets 30% for every additional that she does. We saw in her passive that she can do an additional if your HP is above 50% HP. She can do an additional that has a 70% chance to be a super attack, right? So that's a total of triple supering, and then if you could also get the hidden potential super attack, so you could potentially quad super on any given turn with Ribrianne, assuming you're above 66% HP. So that's why this comes in. And even at 55%, you can still quad super. It's going to be rare, but if you have like an additional silver equip and like an additional bronze equip, you can quad super at 55%. So I did include it here still. But obviously, if you don't have equips, then you can't quad super at 55%. You will cap out at the triple super. but that's okay. You guys can kind of figure that out. So anyway, after one 18 key super attack, Ribrianne will be at about 700k defense with 22% damage reduction. Remember that she gets that damage reduction on super attacks, so just kind of keep that in mind whenever you're looking at this. If she double supers, she's at 831k, 970, 1.1 million, and then you guys can kind of just like walk this down and see her range. I would say probably on average, double supers is what you're going to be seeing like most common from Ribrianne. So I would say that these lines are probably like the most realistic that you're going to see from her. So it looks like her range at Rainbow is going to be anywhere between 831k to like 1.4 million defense, basically, is going to be her like average, like expected range for defense. And then at 55%, it'll be like 689 to 1.2 million, just depending on like how juiced you have Ribrianne. Obviously, Ribrianne, huge skip. Like, don't summon for her. I don't know what value she's going to provide to your box other than just, I don't know, like if you just want Ribrianne. So, you guys let me know what you think about Ribrianne here. Oh, sorry, I'm clicking on the wrong boxes. Now, it gets a little bit more complicated over here whenever we have the 17 and 18 support, so I do want to talk about that a little bit. So they have an on super attacks effect support for 2 turns. So if I type in 17, can we get them to show up? Yes. Okay. So this super attack effect right here, I do want to talk about this a little bit right here. Raises all allies' attack and defense by 35% for 2 turns. This right here is very interesting, is how I'm going to explain this. So essentially how that works is you can see that effect at the start of turn, but where it goes into the multipliers is in the super tech effect. So if you think about like buckets, right? Like this is how I if you've seen my calc videos in the past, I like to talk about buckets, right? So we have essentially like the passive like start of turn bucket. We have the passive multiplicative. I think that's misspelled, but whatever. You guys get what I'm talking about. We got the passive multiplicative, and then we have like the on super attack effect bucket, right? So these are essentially like the buckets that we have, right? We have the passive multiplicative, and then this is on super attacks. So passive start a turn, that's going to be your typical like nukers, well, most nukers, right? Where you collect key spheres, you can see like that defense directly increase whenever you do it. That's just going to be anytime you see like 122% attack and defense, like Ribrianne, right? Like that start of turn. Almost anytime you just see numbers and they're not like tied to doing anything, like getting hit, dodging, doing a super attack, like in the passive, those are typically going to be start of turn buffs. Those all add together with each other. So that's going to be like your typical support. So that's why you see right here that 53% support that 17 and 18 give is added into the start of turn part. And then so that's like where that comes in. Again, if you have like a unit like the AGL UI Goku who gets defense every time he... Well, I'm sorry, no, that's wrong. You get a unit like Vegeta and Trunks who get defense whenever they're in slot 1. That's also start of turn. You just can't see it. So that's some examples, right, of passive start of turn. You have like Ribrianne here. She gets 122% at the start of turn. Most passive support units are also like that'll increase your start of turn buff. And then you have like Vegeta and Trunks. You know, if you put them in slot 1, they get an increase to their defense for being in that slot 1 buff, or for being in slot 1. So yeah, like that all adds together. And then like most nukers, the GT Super Saiyans are an example of characters who nuke, but it's a multiplicative nuke. You know, it says like on super attack they get that buff, so that's like the distinction there. But anyway, we have the passive multiplicative buff. This is going to be anything, like I said, if you dodge an attack, if you get hit, like maybe Wind Guard is activated, on super attack. Those are just some ones that I can think of offhand. Those all add together with each other, but they multiply against the start of turn buff. So that's why you see, like, right here, Ribrianne gets that 122% on super attack right here. You see when attacking, gain an additional attack and defense plus 122%. That is multiplicative with this. So the total boost is not 244%. You actually multiply them together, and that's the boost, right? So that's why I have these on two separate lines, is because she gets the 122% defense at the start of turn here, and then she gets that 122% on super attack in her passive. Those are two different buckets, and so they multiply with each other. But like, let's say hypothetically, she doesn't have this, but let's say hypothetically, Ribrianne also got 30% defense whenever she dodges an attack. That would not be another third multiplicative bucket. That would just go in with her 122% on super attack. So, like, those would add together for like 152%, and then would again multiply against the base 122%. I hope that kind of makes sense. Like the bucket analogy, it's like, okay, we have the start of turn, we're going to fill it up with anything that's at the start of turn. Anything that's multiplicative in the passive, we fill it up together, and that multiplies against the passive start of turn bucket. And then finally, we have the on super attack effect bucket. That's going to be anything happening in your like super attack effects, like your 12 key, your 18 key. If a unit super attacks early, you know, they're like 9 key, whatever. That's going to be anything happening in your actual super attack effects down here. And so 17 and 18's super attack effect right here, this is in their super attack bucket, which means it's also going to apply to every other unit's super attack bucket. So it's going to affect these right here. Like this, it makes the formulas a little bit complicated whenever you calc these, because, you know, instead of getting, like, they're going to get 50% on super attack, but you can't just take this, like, right here and multiply it by 1.5. So what I did on this line 404, you know, E through G 404 and E through G 415. This is where it gets a little bit complicated if you're calculating these guys yourself and you want to include that 35% support. So I mentioned at the beginning, whenever I started calculating these guys, it's in the instance that you're getting one turn, like you're getting one instance of the 17 and 18 support, and they're like off rotation, whatever. So you will be able to see their 35% support active at the start of your turn. All right, so whenever you load into the turn, you'll see right here, like 348k defense or whatever, like assuming that like these parameters are set where you have, you know, only Tournament of Power active and, you know, like this, like you have their supports. Like essentially this would be like with another one on rotation or something. It doesn't matter. But you guys kind of get like what's going on here, right? So essentially, this would be like a turn. You have like somebody in slot 1, doesn't matter who it is. Then you have like Ribrianne in slot 2, and slot 3, maybe you have like the 17 and 18, like the second one, and they're giving like 53% support, I guess, or, you know, you guys can kind of figure it out, or, you know, just, this is the scenario that we're going with. So they have 122% at the start of turn here. They get 53% support from the 17 and 18's passive, but then notice I put an and 35%. This would be from the other one's super attack effect, or that one. I mean, you guys, it's one instance of the 35% support. I'm making this way more complicated than it needs to be. I'm a little out of practice in these videos. I'm sorry. You know, you take a 2.5, 3 day break, and suddenly you forget how to do everything. So what we have going on here is we have the 403, the 93, 759. We're multiplying that by the 122% at the start of turn plus the 53% support right here. So that's a total of like 275 or 2.75 is what we're multiplying right here. And then we're taking all of that and multiplying by the 1.35 because we already have the 1.35 active at the start of turn. This is essentially right here. This is the super attack effect bucket. And we just already have like a running amount, like we have like a little bit in that bucket already. So that's what's happening there. And then we take the passive multiplicative bucket and we go ahead, and that is just a straight multiplication. We just take this, multiply by 2.2. That's fine, right? So this just looks a little bit more complicated than this over here. But essentially, it's the same thing happening. We've just included a little bit of support right here. We have the support, and then we already have like some of the super attack effect active. So think about it like that, right? So then we just multiply by 2.22, again, because they're 3 separate buckets, right? We have the passive right here, right? This is the passive, the 122, start a turn. Like this is the passive right here. Passive bucket is right here. So that's our support and our 22%, like our passive support from collecting 7 key spheres with the 17 and 18, plus our start of turn for Ribrianne. So that's our start of turn bucket. And then we have the passive multiplicative bucket right here. That's the 2.22. Then we have the on super attack effect bucket. That's this 1.35 right here. So that's why those are all just getting like multiplied together, essentially, is what's happening right here with the 772, 736. So then where it gets like a little bit more complicated is right here. So this is going to be essentially this probably looks a little bit more complicated than it is, but you can ignore these dollar signs. That was just like a convenience thing for me whenever I was doing these formulas. But what I'm doing is essentially I'm breaking it out. So this is kind of the culmination of everything I've been talking about. So right here, this is the passive bucket right here. Right here. You see 2.75? That's the same thing that we were talking about right here. Right? Oh, sorry, I missed the 3. Right there. So Google Translate, please. All right, there we go. 2.75. So that's the 2.75 that we have at the start of turn. That's Ribrianne's own 122% at the start of turn, plus the Tournament of Power 17 and 18's 53% defensive support. That's a total of 175%. To multiply that, that's the 2.75. That's why I kind of broke it out here to explain it better. So we have the 1. The 1 is to include the original value. The 1.22 is Ribrianne's start of turn passive. And the 53, the 0.53 is the 53% support that we're getting. And I'm multiplying right here by the links value because I'm essentially just walking us through the entire calc here of how we're getting to this point. So I'm just like basically... Instead of, because like over here, right, I can just walk it down straight, like through the equation. Because we have like bits and pieces of this calc happening in different like sections. It's like because we have some of the super attack effect bucket active here, I'm just walking it through in a different way. So we're basically just redoing the entire calc for each of these, but the numbers are accurate. There's probably an easier way to do this, but I wanted to show it like this. That way we could see all 3 buckets. So anyway, that's the passive start of turn bucket right there. And then right here, this 2.22, that's again, this 122% defense that they get from their passive on super attack effect. And then finally, this 1.85, that's the 50% that Ribrianne gets on her 18 key super attack, plus the 35% support that we already had active from the previous turn, or from the 17 and 18, getting a super attack off. So hopefully that kind of makes sense what's happening here. I could break this out too. I could show this as, just to like make it a little bit more clear. 1 plus, 0.5 plus 0.35. So now you can see everything that's going into that, right? It's the same number, but now it's just broken out a little bit here. So now there's the 1.85. Again, 50% from her 18 key, plus 35% from the 17 and 18 support from their super attack effect, and then the 1 to include the original value of everything else that we've been doing. Oh, wrong screen. There we go. So anyway, that's what's happening here in this calc. And then basically we're just walking it down, and you can see the only thing increasing... Oh, let me Control Z. There we go. The only thing like changing is this number right here. You see the 1.85. So then after we double super, we go to 2.15. You see it's a total of 115%. You can see that's the only thing changing throughout here. So again, start a turn, multiplicative passive, and then on super attack effect. And so that's why that's the part that's changing, is because once we get to this point, the only thing that's changing is how many super attacks they're doing. So hopefully that kind of makes sense. And again, you can see, right, like 50%, 50%, but actually it's 85% total, 115, 145, 175. And you can see that it's a direct 35% increase to the total because of that 35% support that we were getting from the 17 and 18. So I know that's really complicated, and I probably explained it really poorly. But hopefully, you know, you guys can kind of follow what I was saying. If you have questions, I can try to explain in the comments, but this is one of those things that you just, like, I don't know, like one day it'll click and you'll know, like, what I'm talking about. But yeah, this is probably, like, really confusing if you only have, like, a baseline understanding of, like, how the game is working. So Let me know what you guys think. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think about Ribrianne here, and the other Universe 2 girls. Thank you so much for watching. Sorry it's a little bit of a longer video, but I really wanted to kind of explain how this was working. And I don't know that I explained it well, but hopefully you guys have a slight understanding of what's happening here now. Point being, you know, you guys can just look at the numbers. That's the nice thing, right? And figure out what's going on. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.